Hello guys, I'm back again with another video where we are going to discuss what are MCP servers, how you can connect to any of them, and how you can finally, if the need be, remove them. So let's get started. So what are MCP servers? So we will first see what are MCP servers. So whenever you develop any application, let's say you have developed an application which is based and dependent on some other application. Let's say you have built a stock application, maybe Twitter for stock markets. So it's obvious that you will be fetching some data from some other API. But let's say this is your application, and previously this was not using any AI, but you found that using AI can give you an edge over the competition. So what you did, that you integrated, let's say you integrated a Claude agent, and whenever there is any comment based on, let's say, geo, then what it does is your agent reads this information and makes an API call on your behalf. It reads the ticker and makes an API call. And what it does, this will basically not, so Y Finance is a famous uh, provider of stock data in India. So what you can do, the Claude bot, what it will do, it will try to fetch information from this, and let's say it will have to know about this previously, like how this Y Finance works. So it will go ahead and try to query it, there will be an if it already knows well about it, then if it, let's say, Y Finance, which is a famous SDK, then it should be able to easily make API calls. But even then there will be some back and forth, trial and error will be involved. So this was the problem that was faced all over when this Claude agents and all AI agents came to the surface. So the solution basically was that we remove this direct communication. Now what happens is, let me just pick another color which is visible. So now what happens is that this Claude bot will not directly interact with Y Finance. Y Finance in return, what it will do is it will float another server. This will be called an MCP server. So MCP server is nothing but a well-defined structured list of APIs or API expose. So it will expose some APIs, right? Get tickers, get stock price, so on and so forth. So each of these API have some function to perform. So what it does is, in MCP server, it defines what sort of information is provided by each of these API. So since these agents are intelligent enough, they know what to prompt. They know the problem at hand, which could be fetching the information about geo. So instead of trying each of these APIs, what it will do, it will read through the instruction. So let's say get stock, it will have a description. It will have a description to read from, and it will be enough for it to know like which of these APIs to call. So this is how overall it works. So basically, in short, what is an MCP server? So MCP server is nothing but an interface which is provided, you can say it as an interface or a port which is provided by any of the application providers, which will enable your AI agent to communicate with it. Any famous, so we have heard of lot of MCP servers now. So MCP servers from Atlassian, let's say. So Atlassian or Jira you might have heard of, and what it helps. So all the famous SaaS products have now declared or floated their own MCP servers. So in this video we are going to try to connect to any of these. For example, we will have Atlassian, we will connect to Notion, and if the time permits we will also connect to Slack. These are and why you might want to connect. Maybe you might not want to connect, but your agent might depend on information from this. Let's say you are building an AI developer. Okay, let's say let's clear the board once. Let's say you are developing an AI developer, AI software developer. So first thing it needs to know, as in the agile process we know the first thing it needs to know is about the requirements. And where are those requirements? Let's say you have Jira setup and it has tickets which has the definition of the task. Okay, whichever it is going to, let's say there is a feature, you want to build a feature and this feature will be present in this ticket. Let me draw it more properly. So this feature is present in this ticket. All right, ticket number, let's say app, or let's say better we feature 001. All right, so this is where this is implemented. Let's say there is another whole document which is there in Confluence. And you want to access this developer might want to access that, right? Let's say you have GitHub where you might want to finally push the code, so it might want to connect there. So all of these expose their MCP servers. So they all will have MCP servers. All right, and what your agent will do, let's say you have a Claude bot, your agent will try to communicate to these instead of communicating directly to GitHub or to Jira. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so here I'm back with the complete diagram here. So AI developer will make some calls to Jira MCP, and it will know, instead of making trial and error, it will try to directly fetch the data, understand what each API means. So adding MCP server basically means your AI now has the context about what are the calls it can make. It can list the projects from Jira, it can list documents from Jira, it could look for some comment on some tickets. So this will help your AI agent get more context on Jira. So it does not need so the final word is that it does not need to make error and trial and error method. So it will directly know which API is meant for what, and it will have better response and more efficient response. And since it has that, it will use its LLM, whichever LLM is based on. Maybe it could be based on Claude, and then it will make the API whatever code changes it wants. It will make them, and then finally it can make commits, which we already know any modern AI agent is able to do. And after that, it could also make a final commit. It will, once it makes the final commit, either it could directly use its GH, which is a CLI for GitHub, or it could communicate to GitHub MCP, which in turn will figure out, it will know which APIs to call, and then it will create a commit on GitHub. So this is one example how MCP servers can be integrated to your AI agents. This is just two examples. We could have entry from Notion MCP server. We could also, let's say finally when this whole thing is commit, we could have a MCP server for Slack, and we will have a message on Slack saying the feature has been done. So the possibility is infinite. So let's say this is what is the power of MCP. But now we have the next question. The next question is, how to connect to an MCP server. So we will try to connect to a few MCP servers. You can see on the list here we have few MCP servers that I have already connected to, and I will connect to a few of them in front of you. So let's try. So you see Slack, I tried to connect but it's failing right now. Notion requires authentication, but let's start with Jira. So let's go through documentation, so whenever you want to communicate, so this was what MCP server is. Basically it's nothing but a standardized way to connect to any of the external world, right? I also found another document for you which properly puts what it is. It acts as universal connector for AI systems. So you have AI system in between, and it can connect to any of this or any of the external environments that you want. All right. So let's say our job right now is to connect to MCP server of Jira. So this is the document. I will leave this link in the description. And you can see here that previously it used to point to SSC, but now you have to point it to, this is the new server that they have created for us. So we'll cut through the clutter here and directly jump into action. So this is the command that you need to run. The command that you need to run is Claude MCP add. So this is the core command that you need to run for any of the MCP servers that you want to connect to, and you just hit MCP, enter, and if it is not added to your file, you can see here this is the file it points to, right? So if it is not added to your file, you can quickly add it there. Then you simply do as you always did. You just go here and you log back into Claude, and then you can list the MCP servers here as well. So you can see all of these MCP servers that I had tried to connect, or they were default present by default already. So, and you can see here it is flagging us that we have the authentication is pending. So let's try to authenticate. And by the way, you can have this up arrow to toggle through the commands of the history. So, and also if you are more accustomed to Vim, it also provides JKL as your toggle, but you can use up and down arrow as well. So let's try to authenticate, and it will redirect us to, and you see here what we talked about. It provides various services like Jira, where we have task management, and Confluence, where we have documents. So let's just go ahead and approve. Once it's done, you see the comments. It can also, I was amazed when I came to know that it can also support reading comments, and it's very easy because sometimes we have the description, or there is a discussion that goes on in comments. So our AI agent can go through those comments and try to figure out what the conclusion of the discussion was. This comes in really handy. So I'll just let it connect, and once it is done, you see authentication is successful, and now we can hop back here. It's trying to authenticate, and now you see, voila, it is done. Now if you list the MCP servers, you will see that Atlassian is connected, and we can quickly also verify by saying use Atlassian MCP server to list the tickets. I'm not sure what went wrong. Let me just quickly verify. Yeah, so there was some problem with the login. So now we are back, and you see we'll go through the list. So whenever you talk of MCP, you will see MCPs in action. So by the way, if you press Ctrl O, you can see what all tried to do. So do you see there is an API that calls list the resources. Yeah, so you just know how to press enter, and you see how it can query things. So you can also have Ctrl O to see what it's trying to do here. So it is trying to query the MCP server, and after every querying is done, you will see the result as they have. So it asks for permissions. Just go and ahead and press enter every time. I'll be back when the results are there. So you see, it got me all the results that all the tickets that were being worked on. So this is the power of, you see, you didn't even have to leave the terminal, and all the information that you needed is here. So let's now try some other MCP servers. So if you look at the MCP servers right now, we have this. Let's now try to connect to Notion. The same process again. So I'll just exit it, and if you just just need this command. I already have this command with me. Just go ahead and connect. It says it's already there. So we also need to learn to how to remove any MCP server. So let's say MCP remove. I will say Notion. All right, it removed successfully, and now let's try to add it again. So you see it's added it here, and you can also see this information. And if you're more technical, you could also dive directly into this file and add the fields in the JSON. But I prefer this automated, keep it simple, and let Claude do my job. So now let's just go back into Claude, and you'll see that we have in the list of MCPs, we also have Notion right now, but it also needs authentication. So we'll again do the same as you saw. The process is always the same. We just have to don't have to panic. You just get the command, give the proper access. It will ask you for access. Just say yes, I recognize it, and then voila, things will work as expected. Authentication successful. Now you can close this window and go back here. And if you now look at the list of MCP servers, you will see these two are well connected. So this was the basic idea I wanted to deliver through this video. The MCP servers already demystified. Ton of videos out there on internet, and how to connect to it is very simple. You just get the command where is this MCP server being hosted. You get the URL. You just run the simple command that we just saw, MCP add command, and then you can connect to it. You need to remember, you can remember this command MCP, where you can list the MCPs and you can see the current status. And once you go here, you have various other options. So you could re-authenticate, and if it was not authenticated, you could have shown us what is authenticated, how you could authenticate by just clicking on the authenticate option, and you will be directed to web browser, and then you can give all the permissions required, and your MCP server connection will be done. So this video has already gone long, so let's now just finish it off by removing. How to remove this? There are one more way. So this is the bonus tip I would say. So there is other ways of connecting to MCP servers called plugins. So plugins are basically the plugins that you have in VS Code. In VS Code we already have the plugins, right? We have plugins for reading various MD files. We have plugins for piloting and coding and whatnot. So similarly, we have got plugins. So you could also search for plugins, or let's say for Slack, and you could install it, and we'll install it for you. And basically this also has MCP server. So these are the two methods. You see it installs Slack for you, and if you now reload plugins, you will see Slack in there. Let's say just say plugin, and you will see in install section you have Slack. Maybe connection is required, that's why it's saying not there, but you just need to connect. Just say authenticate. Maybe there is some issue there, but you got the idea, right? So we'll now just exit, and to remove any, so you just list it, right? So if I can tab properly today, Claude MCP list, and it will get me the list of MCP servers that I have used. You see all these are there, and few of them are connected and shown here. Let's say I want to remove one of these. Let's say I want to remove Notion. So what I will do, simply Claude MCP remove Notion, and that's it. So I think it's gone already too long. If you found this video helpful, please do comment and let me know what I should cover in the next video. Thank you. Peace out.